This video covers Tuesday's homework from December 6th from Morehouse. In the first question, you're being asked to multiply whole number 400 by 45.2. I gave you an example at the bottom of the page that I'll explain more here. Let's say I have 300 times 15.7. I took 15.7 and I split it up into a 15 and a 0.7. By splitting my decimal into two pieces, the ones place in greater and the tenths place in smaller, I can more easily multiply by my factor 300. I know that 300 times 15 is 3 times 15, 45, add on 2 zeros, and 300 times 0.7 is 3 times 7, 21, add on 1 zero. Once I've multiplied these two pieces, I can simply add them together. Here's what that looks like. 300 times 15. Whoops. Stick with me here. 300 times 15, like I said, 3 times 15 is 45. Got to add those two zeros, so 4,500. Plus 300 times 0.7. I know that 3 times 7 is 21. I add two zeros, but I also got to take away 1 zero for this place value, so I end up with 210. Once I add these numbers together, I have my final answer, 4,710. You can follow these exact same steps with the question here. In class, the way that we talked about the steps was first you split your decimal, and second is you multiply. Of course, after you multiply both pieces of that decimal number by the other factor, you'll need to add the products together. Go ahead and pause this video to complete question 1 and come back for more homework help. Question 2 says, it takes 1 1/4 of a minute to fill a 3-gallon tank of water with a hose. At this rate, how long does it take to fill a 50-gallon tub? If you get stuck, consider using a table. Remember that every entry in the table is an equivalent ratio. And if I know that it takes 1 1/4 minutes to fill 3 gallons, I can determine how long it takes to fill 50 gallons. I can do that in two different ways. The first is I can figure out what I'm multiplying minutes by to get gallons. 1 1/4 times something equals 3. The other thing that I could do is figure out 3 times what equals 50 and multiply 1 1/4 times the same thing. Another strategy that you could use is you could find the gallons, or I should say the minutes per gallon. Why would that help us? Well, if I know how many minutes it takes to fill up 1 gallon, because remember, per means per 1, I can more easily figure out how many minutes it would take to fill 50 gallons, which is what I'm interested in. If I know that it takes 1 1/4 minutes to fill 3 gallons, I can divide to find the unit rate. Remember that to divide a mixed number, I need to change it to an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so I have 5 over 4, divided by 3, and the whole number 3 is simply 3 over 1. I can keep change flip, 5/4 times 1/3, which gives me 5/12 of a minute per gallon. Now, I'm not done yet. This is how many minutes it takes for 1 gallon. If I know that it takes 5/12 of a minute for 1 gallon, I can use that number to help me determine how long it takes for 50 gallons. Go ahead and pause this video to finish question 2 and come back for more homework help. Question 3. Some students prepare 3 different snacks. They make 1/8 pound bags of nut mix, 1/4 pound bags of cherries, and 1/6 pound bags of dried fruit. If they buy 3 pounds of nut mix, 5 pounds of cherries, and 4 pounds of dried fruit, how many of each type of the snack bag will they be able to make? Notice that I sectioned off this question into the nut mix, the cherries, and the dried fruit. In the nut mix part of the question, I know that they're trying to use 3 pounds of nut mix. They're splitting that nut mix into groups that are 1/8 pound each. I wrote a division sentence 3 divided by 1/8 to ask the question, how many 1/8s fit into 3? Then I simply keep change flip, and I know that I can have 24 bags. Another way to think about this is, of course, with a tape diagram. I know that I started out with 3 pounds of nut mix. If each pound is getting split up into 8 separate bags, I know that each of the pounds can make 8 bags. If I have 8 bags 3 times, I end up with 24 bags in total. You'll want to repeat these steps for cherries and dried fruit. The final question on tonight's homework is simply a decimal multiplication problem. The thing to remember when we multiply decimals is to treat the problem as normal. 294 times 12, but it's really 229.4 times 1.2. And when you have your final answer, you'll know how many place values to change your number based on how many place values we are away from the ones place. I know that I'm 1 place value away from 1 on 29.4, and that I'm 1 place value away from 1 in 1.2. So I'll need to move my final answer, the decimal place, 2 spaces to the left, which is the same as dividing by 100. Make sure you're careful with the decimal in your final answer.